cardio.
Okay.
Call to order the regular board meeting for Pleasantdale School District 107 Board of Education at 6 p.m. on February 18th, 2026. Can I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Bracco?
Here.
Mrs. Lenzen? Here. Mr. Nash?
Here.
Mrs. Walters?
Here.
Mr. Zona?
Here.
Mr. Mason?
Here.
Mrs. Marchioni?
Here.
All right, we'll jump into pledge. So tonight we have some student leaders, more student leaders to recognize. Members of our elementary school student council are here to open our meeting. I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Tomei for more information and introductions. I think it's all yours.
All right, thank you. I'm really excited to introduce some of our student council members, as well as Mrs. Tokarczuk and Mrs. Reese, who co-facilitate our student council. We do so many wonderful things. So we have Maria and Valentina and Eliana and and Isabella, Hunter, and Savannah. So I'm going to turn it over to them, and they're going to tell you all about the great things they're doing.
Thank you for inviting the Pleasantdale Elementary Student Council to lead the Pledge of Allegiance today. Our student council works hard each day to help make our school the best it can be. We listen to one another's ideas, organize fun activities, and look for ways to support our school and community.
One of our weekly responsibilities is taking care of scarce boxes in our classrooms. These boxes promote recycling and upcycling by collecting materials that might otherwise be thrown away. Reusing these items can help reduce waste, save money, and provide useful resources for others.
The student council also plays an important role in the school building spirit and strengthening our son's community at Pleasantdale. This year we had a great time in planning activities and dress-up days for Red Ribbon Week and this week Random Act of Kindness Week that's still
Giving back is very important to us. This year we donated 100 of cereal boxes to the Yorktown Township Food Pantry to help families in need. We are currently collecting food, toys, and making blankets to be donated to the Animal Care League of Oak Park. Looking ahead, we are excited for Red Cross America Week in March. Our whole class Eagle Feather Challenges continue to motivate PS classrooms to follow the Eagle Way by showing responsibility, kindness, and respect. Helping create a positive school environment through student council, we are learning valuable leadership skills and discovering how important it is to give back and make a difference.
Being part of the student council helps us build confidence and learn how to speak respectfully and in front of others. It also teaches us how important it is to be involved in our community and to make thoughtful decisions.
We would like to sincerely thank the school board and our administrators for everything you do to make Pleasantdale a wonderful place to learn and grow. Your support and dedication helps us succeed every day. We are very thankful for you. Thank you again for having us.
I told them that after they spoke, we would be taking a picture, so they are listeners. First, we need to say the pledge.
Putting on their best smile.
Come on in. Please stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah. So on our brag boards, we have projects completed by our Algebra 1 students. They applied their knowledge of linear and absolute functions to create their own unique drawings in Desmos. Each student had to write numerous equations, which are listed out on their product, in order for each line and curve to show up in the Desmos program. Functions go on forever, so the students had to tell the program where to start and stop each function by restricting its domain or range. Some students went even further and explored equations of quadratics, circles, ellipses, and shading to enhance their drawings. This is where academics meets art, and I would encourage you to check them out. So a lot of good work going into what our Algebra 1 students are doing. So yeah, the Ducati is my favorite. That's fun.
So what grade would this be?
I believe these are no, this is middle school. This is Algebra 1. These are like 7th or 8th grade students.
Awesome. Like every grade's wrong grade, I'm
I
saying.
mean, they're double excel.
Are you
or
harder?
advanced.
That's so.
Okay. Next, we'll move into item 3, which is the public hearing to transfer funds from the education fund to the operations and maintenance fund.
Right, so we'll turn it over to Griffin Sontag, who will lead us through a very short public hearing. Before we do that, though, I think you need to open up.
So we will now begin the public hearing to transfer funds from the education fund to the operations and maintenance fund. I declare the hearing open at 6:06 p.m.
All right. Thank you very much. This will be a quick presentation, but when transferring the funds from the education fund to the operations and maintenance fund, we'll have a short hearing. And after I conclude, we'll have an opportunity for public comment, and then we'll go from there. So just quick background. The FY26 budget that was approved included 3 transfers from fund balances to purchase up to $3 million in land. And these are the numbers that we estimated best guess at that point of the budget. And so then previous transfers in December, the board transferred $750,000 from working cash to the O&M fund, and then $90,000 from the O&M fund to the capital projects fund. And then in January, $700,000 from the operations and maintenance fund to the capital projects fund. And so often when you do working cash or from the ed fund, you'll see tonight we're asking to transfer to the O&M fund and then from the O&M fund to the capital projects fund. Speaking with the attorney, that's the best practice to do. So tonight's transfer recommendation is $620,000 from the ed fund to the O&M fund, and then $1,180,000 from the O&M fund to the capital projects fund. And this will, we've made 2 purchases of land so far. We have 1 more purchase to make, and then this will kind of tie up everything for the transfer of our funds that have been fund balanced to pay for these land acquisitions. So the final net transfer amounts will align with the budget. Total land purchases will be here instead of the $3 million that we budgeted for, because we didn't know how much it would be. So it's great, it's coming in less than that. So from working cash, we're matching the budget. O&M, the net amount will match the budget, and then from the ed fund, we'll take less by the amount that's there in order to make these 3 purchases. And then as we do, we have a quick quote.
Safest investment in the world. Franklin D. Roosevelt thinks so.
FDR thinks so. So any questions for me before we turn over to public comment regarding the transfers?
Might have to put this on a billboard here.
I can send you a copy of that. So.
Sure. Google can help you too.
That's right.
All right, thank you very much.
All right, we will now move into open forum regarding the hearing. If anyone would like to be heard, please approach the podium. Okay. I declare the public hearing closed at 6:09 p.m. So, right, so next we'll move into item 4. So can I get a motion that the Board of Education approves the transfer of $620,000 from the Education Fund to the Operations and Maintenance Fund of Pleasantdale School District 107, Cook County, Illinois?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Bracco?
Yes.
Mrs. Lenson?
Yes.
Mr. Nash?
Yes.
Mrs. Walters?
Yes.
Mr. Zona?
Yes.
Mr. Mason?
Yes.
Mrs. Marchion?
Yes. Okay. Item 5, can I get a motion that the Board of Education approves the transfer of $1,180,000 from the Operation and Maintenance Fund to the Capital Projects Fund of Pleasantdale School District 107, Cook County, Illinois?
Second.
Mr. Braca?
Yes.
Mrs. Lundson? Yes. Mr. Nash?
Yes.
Mrs. Walters?
Yes.
Mr. Zona?
Yes.
Mr. Mason?
Yes.
Mrs. Marchion?
Yes. Perfect. Next, we'll move into item 6. I'll turn it over to Dave.
All right, so a lot of nice things to say about Dr. Arundel here. So for our leadership recognition, tonight we're proud to recognize and honor the outstanding leadership of our middle school principal, Janine Arundel. If you can see her back there, she's starting to turn red already, which is great. Why don't you come up to the podium? A natural leader, Dr. Arundel began her career as a French teacher in Chicago Public Schools, where she expanded her program and ensured every student had an opportunity to succeed. From CPS, she continued her journey south, serving as the Dean of Students and Gifted Coordinator at Hadley Middle School. In that role, she sharpened her philosophy of restorative practices and made an even broader impact on students and the school culture. Following her success at Hadley, Dr. Arundel became the assistant principal at Eisenhower Junior High in Darien School District 61. As a building leader, she developed deep expertise in organizing the school for learning and supporting systems that improve student outcomes. In 2021, Dr. Arundel was hired as the principal of Pleasantdale Middle School, and her impact was immediate. Over the last 5 years, Dr. Arundel has worked tirelessly to make Pleasantdale Middle School an even better place to learn and grow. She is focused on cultivating teacher leadership and reimagining our building leadership teams to elevate teacher voice in the decisions that move our school forward. Through BLT and other building committees, she helped implement a robust social emotional learning program with a strong focus on self-regulation and executive functioning. As an unwavering advocate for students, she has continually sought ways to design the school day to maximize learning and ensure that the student experience is just the right fit for their unique learning profile. This work is translated into exceptional student outcomes. Under Dr. Arundel's leadership, Pleasantdale Middle School earned its first ever National Blue Ribbon recognition, an achievement that alongside our elementary school's honors makes Pleasantdale a proud Blue Ribbon school district. Pleasantdale Middle School also is routinely recognized as a U.S. News and World Report School of Distinction. But perhaps the most meaningful evidence of her leadership is this: students love coming to school. One of our goals is to give students unique memory-making experiences, and Dr. Arundel embraces that mission wholeheartedly. Tonight, we are excited and proud to honor Dr. Janine Arundel as the West Cook County Principal of the Year. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. That was a lot to take in. Dave must have done a lot of digging on that. I wouldn't be able to do what I do without the support of the board and district administration and the staff in the community. So it's really a community award. I'm just grateful that I get to work here every day. So, thank you.
These are beautiful.
Thank you.
You're matching.
I know. Good call.
Okay. Next, we'll move into item 7, open forum. Please know that all individuals addressing the board will be afforded 3 minutes. We will also limit to 15 minutes on any one topic, and we'll take the green forms in the order they were received. The green forms are out in the hallway. If you have a question, we will acknowledge all who have completed the green forms in the minutes of this meeting. Any questions addressed to the board will be answered by administration within 48 hours. Additionally, for clarification and to ensure your specific questions are answered, we request that the questions be submitted in writing on the green forms. So, you have to go. So first, we have,
Hello, everybody. It's been a little while. I'm here today as a resident of Little Springs and Pleasantdale School District. I was looking forward to the upcoming community workshops information that will be presented. While I have reviewed the information online regarding the upcoming workshop, it appears that District 107's will be presenting current school district challenges, many of which look very familiar from 2023, and seeking feedback from meeting participants. As a previous member of the 2023 Citizens Engagement Committee, there are a few lessons learned from that work that I'd like to ensure that everyone recalls. So my questions are, will the school district administration commit to informing the entire school community by mail of the upcoming workshops and what is attempting to be accomplished? And I bring that up only because my neighbors or I have not received anything to understand that. I go on your website and I see what you're presenting there, but I know some of my neighbors are totally unaware. Will the school administration record each complete workshop event, including the presentation, discussion, and questions and answers during these periods? And then the last one is, will the school district administration make all 3 complete workshop recordings available to the community for their review? My hope is that the entire Pleasantdale school community is aware of these workshops, discussions, and has access to the same body of information through all 3 meetings. Not everyone will be able to attend all these meetings with a short community notice, and me being one of them. As a District 107 residents, we may not all agree on the problems and or the solutions being discussed, but we are all entitled to see and understand the information as being presented by the Pleasantdale School Administration and Board. Any of the outcomes from these efforts will be owned by the school community. So I just want a consistent body of information, because last time, I don't think that happened. And if you have a reference, such as video recordings, everybody can refer back to the same body of information, and it's not all hearsay, because I heard a lot of different things last time. So, thank you.
All right, next, Sarah Helen.
In light of most recent Patch article, I'm here to speak to the unresolved issue of the employed elementary school teacher with multiple accusations of sexual harassment. You told me in our phone call that you are following the law. This Patch article states that there is a federal investigation to determine if that is true. For the sake of this message, let's assume that you are. You have been claiming this entire time that your hands are tied. No. You are choosing to follow a protocol that allows sexual harassment and abuse in your school. I've said this before, I will say it again. If that is what the system allows, then the system is broken. You are the leaders of that system. Fix it. You have chosen to follow what the attorneys are telling you to do, which would normally be a reasonable path, not when it is failing to protect our children, staff, and parents from sexual harassment and abuse. You can choose differently. Today, you can make the choice to fix it, because it is not okay. You say there is information I do not know and cannot be disclosed in regards to the reports of sexual harassment. People have confided in me some of these accounts firsthand. There is no other information that I need to know. No other information needs to be taken into account. What was said and done is enough. There is no context or other information that makes these accounts what they are: sexual harassment and abuse. As a nurse practitioner, I have previously emailed to you research studies regarding the lifelong damaging health effects of sexual harassment and abuse. Please hear this. Those effects happen whether you attempt to discount the victim's story or not. You following a flawed protocol does not change the fact that these things happened to these people. What does help lessen these effects is if they are heard and supported. Listen to them. What happened to them is not okay. Show them that they matter, and you will take appropriate action. To the student last year that reported sexual abuse from 2018, I believe you. You are supported by men and women in this community. We are grateful for your courage. I am sorry this happened to you. It was not your fault. To the teachers and moms that have experienced sexual harassment or intimidation and have not been provided the proper environment to be able to report safely and be heard, you are supported by men and women in this community. We will find a way to fix the system. Please reach out if you need a safe space to process these events, and I encourage you to share your experiences with Dr. Pelzet and the board. To the individual in question, I ask that you resign before any further damage is done to this community. And to the board, I am going to remind you once more that you have a choice in this matter. I plead you to choose the health and safety of our community.
All right, next is item 8, the consent agenda. So moving on to the consent agenda, which consists of the following. 5A, approve regular meeting minutes of the January 21st, 2026 meeting. 5B, approve closed session meeting minutes of the January 21st, 2026 meeting. 5C, declassify closed session minutes. 5D, approve payment of the January payroll and February warrants. And Mary was our checker.
No questions.
And 5E, approve the February 2026 personnel report. So can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Rocco?
Yes.
Mrs. Lenzen?
Yes.
Mr. Nash?
Yes.
Mrs. Walters?
Yes.
Mr. Zona?
Yes.
Mr. Mason?
Yes.
And Mrs. Marchion?
Yes. Next, we'll move into item 9, which is administrative reports.
All right, so we'll start with community engagement update. Again, thank you to Charles for attending the last community facilitating team meeting number 4. So our community engagement work continues as we evolve and listen and learn and talk openly about the challenges and opportunities facing our district. Over the past month, our facilitating team has taken a close look at district data, worked to prioritize the areas where we can make the greatest impact. In our first 4 meetings, the group has reviewed data, explored options related to space and programming, and helped prepare for our upcoming Reimagine D107 Shape What's Next community workshop on February 26th at the middle school from 6 to 8 p.m. This workshop will provide an overview of the district's current challenges and opportunities, invite the community to share ideas, and help us identify the priorities we want to set for our students in our community. It's an important opportunity for residents to learn more about the work underway and make their voices heard. Our schools are the center of our community, and decisions about their future affect all of us. Through Reimagine D107, we have a meaningful opportunity to plan for that future together. This work comes at an important moment for our district as we consider the challenges that touch every part of our schools and students we serve. I encourage all members of our community to attend the February 26th workshop, and also mark your calendars for the upcoming sessions on March 12th and April 9th. This is an exciting time for D107, and we look forward to partnering with our community as we shape what's next. Question?
Dave, I know we've talked about how important it is in the past about making sure the community knows about all of our meetings.
Yep.
So are you able to expand on
Yeah.
some of those efforts
So
to make sure everyone knows about it?
we have a mass text message going out, similar to what I think other taxing bodies have sent in the past. I know all board members here have gotten that, so it's a similar process there. So that text message will be sent out. We are doing a door knocking campaign. So we have a group of community members who are going to be going door to door, knocking on doors, inviting people. If people aren't home, they have a little door hanger that they're going to be using. We of course are going to use our social media, but we're going to take that kind of a step further and do kind of the paid advertisements that will get a broader, people who may not necessarily follow our page will also then see it for our area. Really, obviously then the usual, the emails, the website, all of the kind of usual things.
Are we gonna put it on the marquee?
We are.
Wonderful. There was also a Pledge article highlighting
Yep.
the dates, so that's another
So we did have a
form
Pledge
of
article, thank you. We did a
communication.
press release.
Yeah. thought that was important.
Yesterday, maybe?
I think I
Today?
saw it yesterday.
Yeah,
I can't remember.
thank you. Thank you for reminding me.
Oh,
of
yeah.
that one, too.
When is door knocking, sorry?
What's that?
Recording your meeting.
Yes, we are recording the meeting. We have LTTV coming in to do the recording because we don't have the ability to record, like sticking an iPad in the back of the room just doesn't work. We've tried that before, so LTTV will be recording, and we will be sharing that. It'll be posted to YouTube and the website that we created.
Will it be live streamed or?
We don't have the, LTTV
Oh,
doesn't
got
have the
it.
ability to live stream.
Got it.
It'll be available about a week after. It takes them some time to edit, and splice, put me in HD, if you will,
Oh,
you know,
okay. Okay.
fix this.
Great.
Yeah.
Sorry, when is door knocking?
Door knocking starts tomorrow and Friday, I think. Actually tomorrow.
Okay.
For distributing stuff.
And what are we saying to people?
Just inviting them to the meeting. We're having a community meeting, here's some information about it. We're hoping you can attend. And then it has, obviously, the date for the 26th and the other 2 dates as well.
so if you knock on someone's door and they say, oh, I'd love to get feedback, but I can't make it, then what is the communication?
We have I have a question button on our website. They should go on there, fill out that form, ask that question, and that will be shared with the committee.
Okay.
Great question.
And how can they get on this text list to get?
We purchased the text, everybody's
Okay.
already on it.
Okay, great.
You're already on
So
it.
it's not just school members?
No, no,
Okay.
it's the entire. Thanks, guys. Good
Thank you.
questions. All right. School safety report. All right. So every 4 years, we employ the assistance of a school safety consultant to do an audit of our buildings and the systems and structures we have in place to keep students, staff, and visitors safe. The report is then shared with the district safety task force, who reviews the audit and provides information and recommendations based on their lived experience in our schools. Tonight, I want to provide the board an overview of the work of the task force. So just give me 1 second to get up to the podium. Thank you, Jenny. All right. So again, this is a part of a regular process that we have. So every 4th year, we do we have an auditor come in, and this year, in the past, we've had Mr. Paul Tim, who has done the audit. This year, we made some changes, and we have Randy Braverman from West 40, just a new set of eyes to look at kind of our system structures and make some recommendations there. So every 4 years, we have the safety audit, then the task force meets, looks at the audit, shares their feedback, we create a 3-year plan, finish that plan, then on the 4th year, we start the process over again. So this is our the beginning of the next year, the next 3-year process. And so,
Can you remind us who's on the task force?
so it's teachers or staff members, administrators, students, our Randy Braverman, the consultant, and then we usually have a couple of parents, and we try and identify parents who are first responders. So this year we had someone from law enforcement,
Nice.
Casey Monty, and we had Nick Jula, who is part of fire
Oh,
protection.
nice. Okay, thank you.
So,
I
yeah.
forgot. Thank you.
No problem. So again, multi-year plan, kind of what I already kind of reviewed. We develop our plan based on best practice, right? And so I think the great thing about what we have going on here is because we've done these multi-year plans, the safety and security in the building is actually really, really good. Our philosophy has been we want to work to harden our schools without making them feel hard, right? Like we don't want to put fencing and barbed wire up around the schools. We want, we still want it to be them to be inviting places. We want kids to feel, we want the safety pieces in place, but we don't want the kids to feel kind of oppressive safety kind of interventions placed upon them. Unfortunately, this is required, right? We have to do things like that, like this, because of events that we're seeing across the country. I mean, there was just another unfortunate situation in Rhode Island just a few days ago. So, again, I say it every time I do this presentation. The school is still the safest place for kids, even with some of these incidents that happen across the country. It's kind of like, you know, you're more likely to be hurt on the way to the airport than you are on an actual airplane. So. Again, school is a safe place for kids. Again, we have an inclusive process, so we have a safety audit that is completed. Both buildings have a thorough walkthrough. The consultants also view our traffic patterns and things like that. They do what I call like a secret shopper. They kind of walk around the building and knock on some of the doors and see if someone will let them in. They do walk through the building and see if anyone stops them. The good news, nobody let them into the buildings. In fact, some kids ran and got a teacher when they saw somebody outside. And they don't, you know, they dress nice, and so they look like normal people. Everybody looks like a normal person, but they don't look suspicious when they do it. When they were walking through the hallway, actually one person said he didn't even make it out of the office before someone said, "Can I help you?" As he kind of made his way through the building, he had actually 3 staff members that approached him at different points and said, "Can I direct you to the office?" So again, really good stuff from our staff. It shows that people are kind of alert. Again, parents, staff members, administration, students on that group. There's Randy, not a great picture of him, a little pixelated, but you get a feel for Randy. Again, he's a board certified physical security professional. He's head of our the ISC, or our Regional Office of Education. He's head of safety operations, and he actually does these audits not just in Westcook, but all over the state. They pull him in. My wife is in a district in Northbrook, and they actually use Randy to do hers up north. He's got 38 years of managing security operations. He's held a variety of different roles, definitely very qualified to do this audit. Some of the people who help serve on our committee, again, just first in name, last initial for our students, but again, thank you to everyone who came and provided their experiences and really helped us sharpen the plan. Just as we take a look back at last year, these are some of the things that we worked on last year. And just wanted to kind of, each year I do a safety update and give an update on where we are from the previous years. We did maintain the improved recess area for the middle school, parking lot safety and reconfigure for, parking lot safety for the middle school, improved recess area for the middle school is on this plan. That's something that we still haven't done. That's a big ticket item, and so we want to keep that on the radar, keep that on the plate, but not something that we've completed. We've definitely investigated it. That's why we made it yellow, but we haven't completed it. Limiting elevator access, there's still some work to be done there, but it's better. We had adding an additional visitor management kiosk when we originally made the plan, but what ended up happening is we changed vendors from Raptor to Verkada, and the problem with Raptor was the secretary had to scan each license and do the whole process, and so we only had one in each building, and the secretaries were requesting a second. When we switched to Verkada, people actually do it themselves. They put their own license in, the system takes a picture of themselves, so the secretaries didn't feel they needed that second kiosk, so we just have one kiosk in each building. And then looking at, we've added a bunch of exterior fobs and things like that. We've improved some of the signage on the outside of the building as well, which again, that's still an area of growth for us, so I'm going to get into that in a second. So these are some of our safety recommendations as part of the plan, and the board has had an opportunity to view these through the board packet. But again, one of the things that came up, which I thought was so smart, was to train our night custodians, our night crew, which is a contract. They're contract cleaning, so they're not our employees, but train them in some of our safety protocols, because they are in the building when other people are in the building, whether it's scouts that are using the building or Park District basketball or even some of our own practices and things like that are happening. And they're not necessarily trained in some of our safety protocols, giving them a Centegix badge so they can call 911 immediately if they need to. So again, really trying, and we've had kind of the same people, the same staff members for a while, so they kind of feel like they're ours. So again, making sure that we are able to train those people. I thought that was really great. I actually had a typo on there. We're training the cleaning staff, but then the next one under that is to develop a system to ensure all exterior doors are checked twice daily. So again, working with our custodial staff to make sure that they're doing sweeps of the building and making sure those exterior doors are closed. Not that they aren't closed, it's just best practice to have somebody checking them throughout the day. Working with the Willow Springs and the Burridge Police Department to run active incident simulations in our building. So we did this once quite a few years back here at the middle, but essentially it's like SWAT comes, all of the other surrounding areas come, so they run a simulation of if there were an actual active incident in the building, what would that look like? How would we respond? Do the first responders have a good understanding of how our building is laid out? And doing that at both the middle school and the elementary. Now, I did make that a 2-year goal because I've never done that before. It was that we were actually approached by the police department last time. I was not the one to initiate that. So because we're going to be starting that conversation, I want to give myself enough time to make sure we're able to get it implemented. So I gave myself 2 years for that one. So it's actually a 2020 a 26, 27, and it's on there for 27, 28. If we can get it done for next year, we'll 100% do it. I've never done it, so I don't know.
It would also be great if we could kind of like rotate in the different officers that work in Willow Springs
Yeah.
and Burridge, so that they all have an understanding, not just the ones who came that day
Right.
for the
Right, for sure,
simulation.
for sure. Ensure all egress windows are not blocked. So when they went around to do their audit, and this is a fairly easy one, we have large windows in the classrooms that open up for kind of an escape hatch. And I think some teachers have maybe stacked some books in front of those. So we're gonna make sure that those are clear, but then we're also gonna put some signage on those windows that say, please, emergency exit, please keep clear, or something along those lines. We have teachers who have lots of decorations and posters and things like that, and you wanna have a 10 by 10 inch clearing on those windows. Now we do have the safety curtains that we can pull down in an emergency, but you want to have it clear. If there were a fire, you want fire protection to be able to see inside that inside that room. So we'll make sure those are clear. And again, these are all low-hanging fruit types of things, fairly easy to do, right? Investigate and implement both short and long-term solutions to improve the play area. Again, we've been talking about the play area at the middle school for quite some time. And so I know that's also part of the conversation through our community engagement process. So want to let that play out a little bit and see where that lands, but what are some short-term things that we can do in the meantime? So investigating those as well. Develop a plan to ensure first responders have quick access to the elementary school. As you know, School Street, one way in, one way out. We've had a couple of times where first responders need to get down and get out, and quite honestly, School Street becomes a choke point. So are there ways that we can get our first responders there quicker?
And we still have the opening though at the side
do
of
still
the
have that
elementary
open.
off of
We
the
do
parking
still
lot,
have that
right? And that's still available for
It is
first
still
responders.
available, for sure. Investigate the need for improved locked vestibules at both buildings. What we heard, the vestibules aren't bad, but they could be better, right? And so what you end up with, even more so, they both have their own issues. At the middle school, we need to reposition the camera, because what ends up happening, it's like that tight little spot. Someone like Mr. Brockop comes in, hits the button, and you get a picture of his chest. You know what I mean? Like, you can't really tell who it is. So we're going to look at adjusting those cameras in the short term, but in the long term, really, we should have a system that doesn't require people to necessarily come in the building. And we're not trying to be uninviting, but we get a lot of people who are dropping off gym shoes or dropping off an iPad or dropping off lunch, and they have to get buzzed into the building to do that. The best practice is to have a system almost like a banker's box, where they come up, put in the banker's box, we pull it, they never even have to enter the building. And so it's actually more convenient and quicker for parents, and safer. So we're going to investigate what it would look like to put something like that in place. At the elementary school, we're going to look at putting actually a camera out there. Right now, our secretaries have line of sight, but it's not perfect, right? And if there are people in the office, they may not necessarily be able to see. So putting a camera so they can see who's in that vestibule as well. We're going to investigate the implementation of a school security officer. Is that the right fit for our schools? Is that something that we want to move forward on? Different necessarily than a resource officer, but still offers a level of protection. So again, wanting to look at that. Again, multi-year intervention there.
And I know we discussed this previously, but I would really like to see both options
Sure.
explored, school resource officer or a school security officer. I know we talked about the cost difference,
Yeah.
but in my opinion, I don't know how the board feels, that there's really no cost
Yeah.
that you put on for the safety.
And we can provide that information.
Can I ask
Easy.
what's the, I'm
I was
so
just
sorry,
gonna
what's
ask the
the?
same question.
A school resource officer is a police officer. A school safety officer may be either off-duty, retired, you know what I mean, may not necessarily be part of like a Burridge police,
Got it.
police department.
Got it. But do they have some law enforcement background?
Most of the
Oh,
time.
okay,
yes.
I've never heard
Most
that
of the
term
time, yes.
before, so I don't know, sorry.
Yeah, that's a
Okay.
big difference, I would say. This is again, kind of an easy one, but we have these, the old school doors with the panic bar, and it has that little Allen wrench to unlock the door. So basically anyone with an Allen wrench can unlock the door. We're going to transition those to a key lock rather than the old school Allen key rather. Improve evacuation maps. So not that there's anything wrong with our evacuation maps, but the safety consultant said that he has a kind of like a format that he would prefer we use, so we're going to transition over to those. We don't have what I would call a solid reunification plan if there were an active incident in this building. So what we're actually doing is working with all of the Lyons Township school districts, including LT, and looking at a reunification plan that all of us can use. A true reunification plan, like right now, like for this building, it would be, or the middle school, it would be the Park District building. That doesn't work for a reunification plan. You want to be 3 to 5 miles away from the school because you want to, this is going to be an active site if that were the case, and you don't want lots of people coming here. You want the reunification happening somewhere else. So again, working with our LT partners to create a plan where we all have the same plan. So that again, Willow Springs, Burr Ridge, Western Springs, LaGrange, they all understand the same plan, and when they're supporting, because we would get, any of the schools would get support from all of those departments, they know what the reunification, it's the same for all of the school districts. That one makes sense. Okay, great. And then improve door numbering. So we've already made some improvements to door numbering, but the safety consultant wanted us to put the numbers on the inside of the doors as well as the outside, and he wants to see reflective numbers, and he also wants to see right, inside out and then reflective. And in the same position for every door, because some doors it's up here and some doors it's down here and some doors it's on the side. So like pick a position, put it there, and we're actually going to work with fire protection and local police to determine where they want to see the numbers. Like I don't want to decide where they want the numbers.
I think we had talked to them about that
I
before. I
think they wanted top middle, but I want to reconfirm that. But again, he wanted to see the numbers on the inside. He wanted to see reflective lettering.
Did he provide like an optimal color? Like, is it yellow? Is it white?
He didn't.
Is it?
He
I was
didn't,
just
but I can
curious.
ask. I think the reflective piece was what he thought was most important. So maybe like at night if they're coming in.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. We don't know.
All right.
Can we ask questions about that slide?
Oh yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. So specific to this, the exterior doors being checked twice, because I know there's been a few incidences where there's been windows left open at the middle school over the weekends or whatever. Do they check for that as well?
Yeah, we can. So yes, but it's probably better to implement that with our night custodial crew.
We said.
This would be with our day guys.
Well, that's a trained PM cleaning staff. The second one down. I'm just saying, like, if they check the doors twice, could they check for the windows?
Yes.
Easy enough. Well, just because, windows are open, you can climb on in, you just don't know.
It's happening.
And then also, improved classroom door hardware.
Yeah.
Is that on this
Oh, I'm
year
sorry.
or
Did
the
I skip
following?
over that one? That's a multi-year goal.
Oh, okay. I did not see.
That's going to be a multi-year
I didn't
goal.
know if that was the Allen wrench or if that's
No.
a different
So-
item.
So
We've had a lot of conversations around the
yeah.
classroom
No.
doors.
So the goal, and again, I want to make sure we're not doing something that's cost prohibitive either. My vision, my goal would be to have every single door fobbed, right? And so they're just always locked, always fobbed. Teachers no longer have keys. They fob into their classroom, right? And so when a student leaves the classroom, rather than give every student a fob, like the fob becomes the pass, right? So as students are coming back, they don't need to knock to get in. They just fob to get in. They come back into class like they normally would. We're not giving fobs to every kid so that there are fobs everywhere out in the community or anything like that. So it is a big job and it is a very expensive job, but I want to make sure that we fully research it before we would move on something.
Got it. I think, didn't we talk about them being able to lock the door from the inside of the classroom? Did he have any input on that or any conversation
Yeah, I
around
mean,
that? 'Cause it's kind of like
he
we've been
didn't-
talking about it for a while.
Yeah, he didn't. I think we've opted, and I'm going to look at Griffin here. I think we've opted. Do we have the thumb? We don't. We have the key because we don't want kids to be able to lock themselves in a room alone. And so the teachers key in and key out, but the doors are locked to begin
From the
with.
exterior, right?
So if there were an emergency, they just shut the door and it's locked. Cool. All right, 27, 28. Train students how to use classroom phones to call 911. This is really something we can probably do anytime, but we need something for 27 and 28. Now that we have the students' phones in their yonder bags, they don't really have access to their phones to call 911. And so we do have classroom phones in every room. So being really explicit in showing kids how to call 911 from the phones. There's, when I say train, it literally is just that. It's picking up the phone and calling 911. It isn't 911. It is, there isn't an out number, it's just 911.
Okay.
We're also gonna make sure that that is clearly marked on some of the phones. They noted as they went around that they could use a sticker that says 911, press 911. You know what I mean? Or to call 911, press 911. I think in an emergency, the easier you can make things, the better, right?
I think that also comes into play with like the markings on the door, the numbers, right? So the students know, like, okay, when they call 911, they can tell them they're in room number 12 or whatever. You know, they don't have to go outside of the door to like, you know, be able to check what room they're in. If you say, oh, I'm in Miss Lauerman's room, that doesn't mean anything.
That doesn't mean anything to us, right?
Responders.
Good point. Again, repeat, 2-year goal to have active incident training in our buildings. Acquire additional walkie-talkies. I feel like that's on there every year, that, you know, walkie-talkies break, batteries go bad, things like that. So we'll acquire some additional 2-way radios. Have the student council create a see something, say something campaign for the school. Just, again, we have ways for kids to report, but, you know, keep it top of mind. If you see something that is out of the ordinary, report it, right? Investigate and implement the short and long-term solutions to improve. This is year 2 of that. 3, develop a plan to ensure first responders quickly at the elementary school. Locked vestibules is one we've talked about, and the same thing with. So this is actually year 1 of 2. Investigate implementation of a student-initiated lockdown system. So right now, all teachers can call a lockdown by hitting their SynTJs button, right? They just keep hitting it, the entire building locks down, the system goes off, alarms on the computers and iPads.
Question.
Yes.
Sorry, I don't want to ruin your train of thought.
No, you're good.
Did we ever, because we were going to look into, because the kids reported when that happened, that the voice was really scary and really freaked them out. So was that something?
Fixing that. Yeah, we're working on
I know that, but for like the little
Yeah,
people,
we're
that's
making
scary
it-
for them, you know? So, okay, thank
Try
you.
it.
Sorry.
You
should do it.
Oh, I'll volunteer my services.
The other thing.
I'll probably cry, but I'll volunteer.
Have Mary's voice on.
Don't want that.
It's a lockdown, everybody. Hold on, I did lose my
I'm
train
so
of-
sorry, I know I
so
ruined your train of
the
thought,
Blue
I'm sorry.
Point. So there is a system, and I'm sure Blue Point is the main brand. I'm sure there are others. It's kind of like, you've seen those fire pull stations, the red fire pull stations. There are blue ones that are called Blue Point, and you pull those and they go directly to 911 dispatch, put the building in lockdown. So I know that the high school uses those. So again, it's another way, then really anybody in the school can call lockdowns. Teachers have it, and this gives kids the ability to do that. So we're gonna investigate that as well.
How many of those would be around the building?
You know, my guess, and again, I haven't started the investigation of it, my guess is the company will have recommendations that you need a X number of feet or next to every fire pole station or something like that. Again, that's a total guess on my part.
Right, but I really like that idea. It's awesome.
Great, thank you. Update video monitoring in the main office. I think there were, again, I think that has to do with the vestibule and then also in the office when people are coming in, just some additional recording. Provide additional emergency supplies in each classroom. So we have little first aid kits. What else would we possibly need in there to make it a little bit more robust if, God forbid, we're in a lockdown situation? And then visitor directional, no trespassing and no firearm signs at each door. In all fairness, when we put the shadow resistant film on the doors, I think some of those notices came off and we neglected to replace them. So Randy, when he went around, he's like, yeah, you should really just have it at every single door. So we'll be adding those. You know, visitors go to the main entrance, you know, the kind of state-sanctioned picture of the no firearms, and then directing people again back to And then no trespassing. Any questions on this one? Cool. One more year to go. Door numbering and signage. I think we have, at the middle school, we have like signs that hang down from the ceiling. They're like paper signs that hang down. He wanted to see something a little bit more permanent on the door. So we're going to be looking at more permanent numbering, door numbering signs for the classroom doors. Investigate the implementation of student lockdown system. That's at Blue Point, so that's tier 2 of 2. So we'll continue that. Ensure all lighting meets code. So we have some dark spots, right? Like especially like if you go into that door that kind of goes into the library, there's some dark spots there that we want to light, make sure are properly lighted. I believe that Randy also had said like something about there are specific brightnesses for different types of different areas and different types of lights, and he's like, you want 32 lumens here and 28 lumens or something. And again, those aren't the exact numbers, but making sure that all of those meet those requirements. Putting in a second AED, we meet the requirement for AEDs, but adding an additional AED on the second floor of the elementary school, and the upper floor on the middle school. We're going to continue work on bike lanes. We're going to continue. That was actually a big one that came up with the kids. They wanted to see bike lanes and sidewalks and things like that, as we all do, right? Like it would be great. Make our district more walkable, more bikeable. Develop and plan first responder quick access. So again, that would be that elementary school exit or entrance for first responders. The need for locked vestibules, 3 of 3, and then the school security officer. Any questions?
Can you clarify how the door number and signage on classroom doors differs from the project with the reflective inside and outside?
The door numbers for the reflective ones are on exterior doors.
Oh,
those are
only
classroom.
exterior.
Yeah, we only
That doesn't do what you were saying.
it's so the police know I need to go to door 7 at the elementary school, and it's well marked. This is they
interior.
didn't no for the
But
exterior.
this is
is
interior.
interior.
But I liked Becky's point though about the signage on the inside of the door. Like that was I think her question was like if a student's in a classroom or a teacher's in a classroom, they're like,
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
that's a good. I see what you mean. Okay.
Yeah, that's why I couldn't
Yeah.
differentiate what was going on.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I was confused about that.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. That's
Okay.
Like if we're
easy.
training them on it, like about dialing a
Oh,
phone,
'cause they came
to
up with the
also
911,
say,
yeah.
okay, and when you call 911, tell them you're in this room,
Yeah,
and if
part
they're
of the
like,
training.
I don't know what room I'm in, let me go look outside, but that's not
Fair.
safe
Might
for them
work.
to do that,
Yeah.
Okay.
That's an easy one.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Okay. Perfect.
Cool. So let me flip here. So again, I kind of do this each year that we also have that cybersecurity piece always top of mind as well. I know James did a really great presentation a couple months ago, so I won't try and replicate that. But we have systems in place on our student devices, on our staff devices to ensure that one, kids can't go to the places that we don't want them to go on the internet, but also that our system is safe from outside bad actors. And if an outside bad actor were to get into our system, one of James's favorite words is redundancies. So we have lots of different systems set up to make sure that if there was an attack, if there was a loss, that we can be back up within 48 hours, I think, and be running again very, very quickly. So, but we try and do everything we can not to be put in that position. So, of course, I really do want to thank the students, the staff members, the parents who came, and I mean, this is important stuff, right? And we had some really hard, serious conversations about what we can do to make sure that we have the safest school possible. And I think one of the big takeaways is that we've already got really, really good systems, structures, physical security, all of that in place. That doesn't mean we can't be better, right? In speaking with Randy, he does these kind of assessments around the state, but he's like, once I leave, I don't know what they do with the report, right? Like, the fact that you have a group, you're bringing me back, we're going through it, and you're creating a plan that you're presenting to your board, and then there's some accountability there, that it doesn't work like that everywhere. And again, I think it works really well for us. I think it's why we have some of the systems and that we have in place. So thank you to the board for allowing us to do that.
Was there value in bringing in like a new person?
I do think so. I do think so. And I was sharing with Becky today that like one of the differences between Randy and Paul, one, they know each other really well. They used to work together, so they have a very similar kind of working profile. But one, it's a new set of eyes. But two, Randy brings a team, right? So it's not just him by himself. Where Paul, he's kind of on his own. He's doing the assessment at both schools. So Randy actually has 4 people that he works with, and so they are able to kind of talk about it and have conversations as they put the report together, which I think is valuable. More ideas, more brains, more eyes looking at the plan is better.
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously safety and security is like a top priority of the board, so I wanted to make sure we acknowledge Mary, because that was your suggestion, to bring in a new person, and I mean, it sounds so obvious once you said it, but yeah, I mean, I appreciate that input, because I mean, the outputs of this audit are, I mean, there's so many things, you know, so you have to assume that it did result in a lot of good new ideas that maybe would have been missed, so.
Right.
We'll get you flowers next meeting.
$12.
Flowers. But, and I think there's a lot of things too that he came up with that we hadn't talked about, like the student involvement in the safety piece. Like we've never even really discussed that, so I appreciate that. One thing I wanted to ask real quick, and I meant to ask before, but do we have cameras within the hallway?
Oh yeah.
So, and I don't know if you dove into this with him, but I know in like, you know, Frankfurt, Orland, they have it where EMS can access. Like in in a case of, so they can like pinpoint exactly where like a perpetrator's at. So EMS
they
can get into our camera system and identify where the person's at.
Yes.
Oh, they can. I did not know.
Yeah, Burridge Police and Willow Springs.
Oh, that's awesome. I did not know.
They set that up with them.
That's perfect. Thank you. That's awesome.
Thank you for this. I think the report was very thorough and with a lot of new ideas. I especially really like the school resource officer, school security officer idea. I think there's been several times where we've called and they have, you know, their limited resources at either department, so to have someone in-house that is able to provide that extra layer of protection, I think is really important, and I really like that idea.
Cool.
So.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Same case is coming on.
Side Awesome. I think I have the next presentation as well, so I'll just jump right into it if that's okay.
Yeah. Are you going to the staffing or read the board policy?
This is the class board policy. So again, the board had asked to do a kind of a deeper dive into our class size policy. It's policy 765 is the policy that governs class size. So part of, well, let's just jump into it. So part of what I did was to reach out to our comparable districts, and again, just as a reminder, we use LADSI, all the LADSI Special Education Co-op as our comparable. So it's all the LT feeders, then it is several of the RB feeders as well. I did not include the high schools in this because we're not a high school district, so it's a total of 13 elementary school districts that are part of our comparables. So I did reach out to them to get information. So just a little bit of history regarding class size here. Prior to 2015, there were no class size guidelines. The board, the board didn't have those guidelines, and we just, I wasn't an administrator at that time. I actually got hired after this policy went in place. Just made the decisions to obviously share with the board and things like that, but there was nothing kind of overseeing the class size guidelines. Our current class sizes are there. They'll come up throughout the presentation, so you'll see those later on.
Hey, what are those guidelines based on?
They're based on what the board wanted to select back in 2015.
Was there research?
I'll be honest with you, I'm not real sure. I think maybe that they because it was done before I got here. I think maybe they connected with some of our other peer districts to develop that. I'm not real sure. I don't have that background. So again, how the policy is implemented. So it does provide for some flexibility for the administration, right? And I think it's important that these numbers are guidelines, not hard and fast targets, right? So we want to be as close to these numbers as we can while also taking into account things like the number of classrooms that we have available and the cost, right? Those are two items that the policy gives us a little bit of flexibility on. The way we've implemented the policy is what I call the 2+1 method. So I'll use first grade as an example. First grade, the class size number is 20, right? So when we get 2 additional students per section, so let's say there are 4 sections, we get an additional 2 students, so 2, 4, 6, 8, and then 1 more student enrolls in that grade level, that's when we break. To say that we're going to have a 20, 20, 20, a 21, and then break, we end up with sections of 14, 15, we end up with really small sections, so we don't want the sections to be too small, but we also don't want them to get too large. So we've used this 2+1 method, which has worked well for us. The wild card for us is always kindergarten. We never know how many kindergartners we're going to get, and that's why when I do the class size, the staffing, preliminary staffing numbers, you'll see at kindergarten it always says 3 or 4, because I just don't know. We can get 60 kids or we can get 90 kids. We've had both, so it's hard to tell. One of the things that we do when we have classes that are over is we always work with that teacher and offer an aide if they want that. Sometimes the teachers do want that level of support. Other times teachers are like, it's just another person in the room and I don't need that, or I don't feel like that's an option that I'd like to exercise at this point. Or I only need them during math, or I only need them during this time, and so we work on scheduling someone for that. So again, this is our current enrollment at the grade levels. The elementary school, you see I've got the section numbers, and so what we have in green, and the middle school is a little bit different because of the period structure. It's not as easy to say there's 21 in this and 25 in this, because we have advanced courses and algebra courses and double Excel, and so it just doesn't work to put the numbers next to it, but you can see the total number of students in that grade level and the total number of staff members. It's a pretty easy math problem right there. So in green, we are at or below. Yellow, there's at least one section that might be over, but it doesn't hit the break point. And the red, they're over, but they also don't hit that 2+1 break point either, based on the current guidelines.
So just make sure, so for 3rd grade, because it's just the easiest. So you're saying the break point would be 3 of the classes are at 26, and then the 4th is at 27. That's when.
Then one more student comes at 27. That's when we break.
When you break.
Aren't there 2 sections of 26 for 3rd grade?
We just
now?
looked it up today.
There's just a new student.
So some of the ways that we address larger class sizes, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Ban for this portion.
A very brief portion.
Hobble on over.
Here I come. So when we have class sizes that may exceed our board guidelines, we definitely offer support to the classroom teachers of those sections. We'll review student data, we'll look at student needs, whether that's need for intervention, need for enrichment, students with IEPs, what have you. So we might choose to do a bunch of different things, and these are some of the options that we might choose to do. We might choose to do a push-in or pull-out support from one or more of our specialists, or reading specialists, math, social work, English language learning, learning enrichment. We might also flexibly group across the grade level to make sure that student needs are met. One example of what we've done with 3rd grade this year, as you saw in the previous slide, we have class sizes are slightly past board guidelines, is that we have worked with the classroom teachers and the reading specialists to create a foundational skills program just for that grade level, where we separate the students into 5 sections rather than 4. And the reading specialist, each of those classes is co-taught, whether it's with a special education teacher and a general education teacher, or a reading specialist and a general education teacher, or a teaching assistant and a
general education teacher. And the reason why we split into 5 sections is so that we were best able to meet all of the students' needs. So we'll have some groups of students working on multisyllabic words because that's what they're ready to do. We have some students working on long and short vowel phonics skills because that's what they need. And then we revisit those groupings at like 6-week intervals throughout the year, and we change those groupings as needed, move kids within and out of the groups as needed. And at this point, it's worked very well to have 5 groups at that grade level. Typically, we had planned to do this with 2nd grade anyway, or when these kids at 2nd grade were going into 3rd grade, we had planned to do this anyway, but we decided to do it with 5 groups instead of 4 groups because 4 groups would have just been the same old thing that we would have done anyway. So that's just one example of what we have done to support that 3rd grade group, or an example of what we might do when when numbers exceed or go past core guidelines. And then I just also wanted to show you the data from our 3rd grade, just because this is something that we monitor throughout the school year, no matter what, but I thought this was interesting to pull out since there was a concern about the 3rd grade class sizes. So this is our Ames Web data. We benchmark 3 times a year, once in the fall, once in the winter, and once in the spring, every single student. And it's kind of what I like to call like our temperature check. Ames Web is supposed to be a quick baseline assessment to just see like where are students performing in relationship to the grade level standard. And what we look for in our data review meetings is that within the grade level, 80% or more of our students are performing on target to meet the grade level standards by the end of the year. And that's what the Ames Web assessment will show us. They'll take probes in both reading and in math. Reading will include things like reading comprehension, vocabulary, and oral reading fluency. Math will include things like math fact fluency, mental computation fluency, and concepts and applications. So our math data, so then we look at these triangles every year, or every data review period. We also do interim checks in between at every 6 weeks. So our math in 3rd grade looks really good. Our students started out at 79% of the grade level on track to meet grade level standards in the fall. Went up to 87% of our students on track to meet the grade level standards by the fall. Now we do have some students who are at moderate or high risk of not meeting the grade level standard by the end of the year. Those are the students we would place in a tier 2 or a tier 3 intervention, and we're intervening with them between 3 and 5 days a week, depending on their skill level, their skill needs, and what's going on in the instructional program. So that's the math piece. And then with reading, we started out the school year with 84% of our students on track to meet grade level standards by the end of the year. And we're still on track to meet that targeted 80%. Now 85% of our students are on track to meet that grade level standard by the end of the year. At the beginning of the year, we had 14% of our students in that moderate risk range, 2% in our high risk range. That has inverted a little bit, which is something that we noticed at our data review meetings just a couple of weeks ago. And so we're making some adjustments to some of those reading skill groups to make sure that we target the students who are now at a little bit higher risk of meeting the grade level standard by the end of the year. We also have other assessments that we use to track that progress. We have classroom level assessments in the foundational skills. So we're keeping an eye on that too. So like if we see a student who's in that red triangle part where they are at high risk of not meeting the grade level standard by the end of the year, we'll look at their classroom assessment level data as well and pinpoint the skill areas that they need support in, or we'll see, was that a fluky baseline or was it not? Are they doing fine in the classroom level skills? And when we put it to a timed test like Ames Web, do they struggle more? Well, then we need to work on accuracy and fluency with them. So we're pretty much on track in both reading and math for 80% or more of our students to meet the grade level standard by the end of the year. A lot of that is some of the supports that we've put in place for the grade level, but at the same time, they are performing on target with all of our other grade levels. At every grade level, at our winter benchmark, students were between 80 and 90% of the students on track to meet the grade level standard by the end of the year. I think that's my last slide. Yes, it is. Now I'm turning it over to Griffin.
Can I ask some questions?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. So thank you for providing that data, it's very helpful. You know, I guess my concern with this is that, you know, we're a district that, okay, it's great, 80% are on target, you know, but like what, so they meet the standards, right? But I feel like we're a district that goes above and beyond meeting the standards, right? So what percentage are exceeding the standards? And if we have a full classroom, are we able to fully explore what's exceeding the standards for our students? So I think we're better than just meeting the standards, you know, and how does that compare then with classes that are less, you know, crowded? And in that respect also, it's not just about, you know, the learning that's happening, but also the space issues. I don't know if this is more of a Dave question, but the space issues within that classroom. You know, I know some of these classrooms are very crowded and students are facing sideways instead of forward, and how does that affect learning and how does that impact meets versus exceeds, you know? I feel like we,
So can I speak to the
Please,
first thing
yes,
that you
yeah,
asked?
I know I
Okay.
kind of threw a lot
So
in there.
AIMSweb is not something that we use to say who's meeting standards, who's exceeding standards. It's like a temperature check for the grade level to be like, is everybody learning at grade level?
Sure.
Like, are we doing okay? The assessments that we would use to see if students are exceeding and like to kind of keep us up where we feel like we need to be as a very high achieving district, we would look at our MAP data, we would look at our IAR data, and we would look at our COGAT data. I didn't put the COGAT data up. We did take the COGAT in December, but I can tell you right now, I do not feel that the larger class sizes have had an impact on our COGAT data. Our third graders did so well, kept kind of consistently what we've been seeing with our high numbers of students scoring high in the quantitative and the nonverbal domain, and our verbal domain is starting to come up as well. So to me, when I look at those data points, and I'll also look at the IAR data when it comes in for this third grade group, we'll be able to see, like, are we still meeting that very high standard, academic standard that we have for our kids? So AIMSweb is not something that's quite, like, we don't sit there and count like, oh, we have X number of students in the high average range, or that, like, we don't get that in depth to it. It's more to like alert us to what else do we need to look at to make sure students are performing and learning at grade level. So I hope that kind of answers your question, and that 80% is kind of best practice within like the multi-tiered systems of support framework. Like, we always want to aim higher. We want all of our students to be on track to meet the grade level standard by the end of the year, and so that's always the goal. What we want to see is above that 80%, and all of our grade levels are performing at or above that 80%. In fact, this third grade group, compared to everybody else in the winter, first through fourth grade, they have only one grade level is performing higher than there, and that's for first grade.
For AIMSweb?
Yeah, on AIMSweb.
Okay.
On AIMSweb. So like if you look at the percentage, and actually first grade, I believe, was our other grade level, with slightly higher class sizes in the board guidelines. And first grade is performing at 90% of the students are meeting the grade level standard in reading, and 84% meeting the grade level standard in math.
Yeah, so I guess like my point was that I don't know if this is the best measurement for our students, you know what I
To
mean?
me, it's like, are kids performing at grade level? Because that first and foremost is what we have to make sure is happening.
Sure, that's one level of it.
Yep, and then we'll look at other data as well, like our, like I said, like our COGAT data, like our MAP data, like our IAR data. I don't have anything to compare MAP to right now because we only take it in the fall and in the spring. IAR we don't have yet. I'd be happy to send you guys the COGAT data if you'd like to take a look at it, and do a Friday update or something similar.
Yeah, I guess I'd be interested to see, you know, students who were in classes that met the board guidelines, like how they performed versus.
Oh, I have them
you know,
all.
like of other third grade classes, for example. I don't know, like you can't compare, I think, one third grade class versus another, but you know.
Are you saying like the fourth?
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Are you saying like the fourth, third grade classes currently, or there's some, no?
No,
You're
she's saying like,
every year?
Like, let's look at how the third graders did last year.
Oh,
comparative
got it.
to the third graders this year, because the class sizes weren't heavier last, you know, for that class. So to compare and make sure that they look like they're
We can pull
on
that from
par with
last
their
year too.
peers.
I wanna make sure that, we tested all the kids all 3 times last year, so we're making an apples to apples comparison.
Yeah.
which I believe we did. So we can pull that data as well, if that's something that you'd like to see. Because I can pull the same report from last year's third grade as well.
Yeah, because I guess I just wonder, you know, since kindergarten, or since first grade, they've been above the district's or the board guidelines, and so I wonder if like.
I think in first grade we had 5 sections.
We did, and in kindergarten we had
Yeah.
5.
And I know they did in kindergarten, I know that in first. Okay, so then second and third, they've both been above board guidelines, and then presumably for fourth as well. But I just wonder if, you know, if it's 1 year, okay, you know, we can make these accommodations and push-ins and all of that, but, you know, over time, you know, does it diminish the experience of the students and the learning in their classroom, you know?
Oh, and you had asked about classroom configurations
Yes,
too.
yeah, that was another
Like
question.
oftentimes what our teachers do, like we tend to not have students like in rows. That does take up a lot of space, and also it's not necessarily like a great practice for like an elementary school classroom. And so I know most of our teachers in third grade arrange the students in pods, so they are all facing like different directions. When it is time for them to focus on a certain area of the room, they'll either move to that area of the room or turn their chairs so they're facing the area of the room that they're supposed to be facing. But yeah, as far as
So
like.
that's not what I'm referring to. So like in one of the rooms, it's like almost like it's probably not a great way to describe it, but like a bar area that the students sit at, and they face the window as opposed to the front of the room, and they're on like bar stools essentially, like, and that they can turn when they want to face the front of the room. I feel like, you know, for a third grader to ask them to kind of like turn their body to see the teacher at the front of the room, like that's not, I don't know.
Yeah, I'll have to take a look at that, which classroom that's in.
Yeah, I don't know, and I don't know if that's a space-saving measure that's happening there.
I also don't know if that's a permanent seat or not. Is that like a sometimes
What is?
seat or is that a permanent seat?
No, it's a permanent seat.
We'll take a look at that.
I don't know, I guess, I know we talked to Dave a little bit, with Dave a little bit about this, but like, is there any consideration in the makeup then of who the students are in that section, right? So if we have 26 students, and what percentage, you know, need additional services, you know, is that also consideration when we're looking at the sizes of the classroom?
I mean, we follow the board guidelines and we follow the process that we've kind of always followed. If there's like a compelling need or something that we need to address, we'll either look at some aid support, we'll look at, you know, utilizing the co-taught classroom, we'll look at utilizing specialists. If it just depends on how it falls within like the process that we've used for.
I think she's talking, you're talking about the allocation of students across the
Like the
classroom.
composite
Like,
classroom.
making sure that not all like ESL students are in one class. I think, is that accurate?
Well, that's part of it, yeah.
Well, I mean, not just
Yeah.
that specific body of students, but just
Right.
in general, that aggregation of like
Yeah.
spreading the
To
children
do more
out.
heterogeneous,
Right.
yeah, do more heterogeneous grouping and,
Right.
yeah. I think we try to do that as much as possible. We also do have like a bilingual component to our English language learning, which we all know, and so sometimes it's better to have the students who all speak the same language in the same classroom so that they have each other, and it's easy and quick and easy to get them the bilingual support that they need both in the classroom and out of the classroom. So
Our goal is to always have a balance of boys and girls, leadership, you know, kids who are leaders, kids who are emerging leaders. We want to get kids with their friends and things like that if we know that there are those strong relationships. The other piece is that our principals will often get requests from families, like I'd like my kid to be with this teacher or that teacher. Again, try not to necessarily, like, you know, no one gets to pick their teacher, but if you've had a past experience, we take that into consideration. My kid really does well when he's with Jimmy, you know what I mean? So again, yes, we do absolutely try and balance and like Jennifer said, have those kind of heterogeneous classes. And consideration is given to, do we need more EL support in that class because we've got, you know, 3 Serbian speaking students in that class, so we're going to have the EL teacher push in. But yeah, that we definitely do give that type of
But I guess also
consideration.
my question was like, if the we're deciding if we're going to break a section or not, right? If we're gonna go above the board guidelines, do we look at the overall makeup of that
We have.
class?
We have.
No, because I think that would be an important consideration as to whether,
Yeah.
you know, you can go to above board guidelines for multiple sections or, you know.
Yep, we have.
Any other questions for me? Yeah,
Oh, you already did it.
It's on there.
Griffin.
Thank you.
Jump up just for one slide. So, as the CFO of the district, just need to continue to be thoughtful about the finances. Quick recap back from the 5-year projections, meeting with the finance committee. There are a lot of supplemental revenues, main revenue sources, your local taxes, but the supplemental revenues have been decreasing, and they've been warning all of us that we got to really be thoughtful about everything we're spending, not here, but just in general in public education in Illinois. So quite a few things are going down. Interest income, as interest rates come down, will go down. Categorical reimbursements from the state going down, federal grants going down, CPVRT money going down. There are lots of those supplemental revenues, and then increased costs as we're all experiencing in our lives. So we need to be thoughtful about all of that. So this is just a quick slide on potential impact on budget. Staffing is roughly 73 to 75% of our budget. So every new staff member, new teacher that we hire falls kind of within this range with the insurances and their levels of experience and education and so forth on our new teacher matrix that we have. So just took kind of the lowest and the highest, averaged those, and then would just tell you that roughly every new teacher that we add, or new staff member too, depending on what level they're in, is approximately $75,000 on each of the budget. And the projections that we ran with the 5-year, we're keeping our FTE flat. We took into account that there would be some retirements happening in the next 5 years that might be larger salaries than a $75,000, but our replacement, we had coming in as 75 or even a little less at that point when we ran those. So, so my point of the slide really is just to be thoughtful about every additional staff member that we would consider adding to our district. Thanks.
All right, so now let's talk a little bit about those comparisons, right? So again, we use our LADSI districts to compare. They include all of our Lyons Township school districts. So you can get a feel for LaGrange, you can get a feel for Western Springs, so on and so forth. Some of the outliers. So Butler is our outlier on the low end. Butler's in Oak Brook.
Are they in Lansing?
They are in Lansing. Mm-hmm.
Shocking.
They're a
I
LADSI
did not know.
district.
Okay,
Mhm.
I did not realize it expands that far.
Yeah, and so they're at 20 students per section across the board, kindergarten through 8th grade, 20 sections per student. Western Springs is the outlier on the other end. They are up to plus 30, actually 32 at their middle school, which is allowable. They're generally in the neighborhood of between 25 and 27, but their board or their guideline, I'm not exactly sure if it's a board guideline or maybe in some of the districts had it in a CBA or a handbook or something like that, but the rule that they follow is plus 30 is allowable. I believe it's a board guideline.
Specific to the middle school?
I think that they're actually able to go up to 30 for 4th and 5th. 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Yeah, they're higher. 9 out of the 13 districts do have guidelines. 4 of them do not have any guidelines, right? If we do a real quick analysis, and I'm going to go through this, I'm going to show you a table next that has all of the data, and then I'm going to go grade level by grade level so you can see where we stack up against our peers. Preschool and kindergarten, 1 district has lower class size guidelines than we do. 1st grade, 1 district has lower class size. 2nd grade, 4 districts have lower class size guidelines. 3rd through 5th grade, there's only 1 district with lower class size guidelines, and 6th through 8th grade, 2 districts have lower class size guidelines. So again, real kind of high level overview, quick analysis. It's a lot of numbers. I know. I'm gonna go. I looked at it and I made that exact same face, right? And so I was like, ugh. So I'm gonna go through this grade level by grade level and show you a bar chart for every grade level and where we stack up. So you can see you have preschool, where we, again, going across, where we stand compared to our peers. What I will tell you is in my analysis, when I did the grade by grade analysis, I didn't do preschool because some of these districts are preschool for all grants, and those have restrictions around they need to have 20 students in that program. So, and preschool is not required. So I didn't do the preschool analysis. You can see where we fall based on this data here. But as we start to dive into this a little bit, is it okay if I go on to the next one? Are there any questions on this?
I'm sorry.
I do. No, I guess so. You may not know this. Obviously, it's a guideline, right? But do we know, like, high level? Do these other districts have that kind of like break policy like we do? So
I don't know.
they're saying,
I don't know where they break.
Okay.
I don't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like some of that is going to be. It's going to be.
That's what
Case
I mean.
by case,
Yeah,
school by district, school district by school district.
Okay.
So I don't know what their break policy is.
Okay.
So if we look at kindergarten, we're at 20. Our peers, you have one peer at 19, and then a couple at 20, and then up to 26 as their low end. I use the Western Springs has ranges. I use their low range for this.
And it's just their guidelines, it's not like what actually happens in the classroom,
Right.
like what the data based
It's
on.
their guideline. I can't tell you what their actual numbers are.
Because I was just looking at it, said like an average of 22
Yeah, could
in
we
a
look
class,
on their
you know.
state report card? Does it give you the?
I don't know if it would.
Class
I don't know if
sizes?
it breaks it down by grade level.
It
I'm
gives
not
you
sure.
enrollment per grade, but it wouldn't break it down.
It wouldn't break it
actual
down by
classes,
school
but
or
tell
by
you-
classes, right?
Or you would have classes.
So, kindergarten, this is our first grade, us compared to our peers in first grade. Again, Gower at 19, we're at 20, we've got some peers at 20, and then looks very similar to what we saw in kindergarten. Second grade, we have some 20s. And again, you gotta remember, Butler's at 20 for every grade level. You have Riverside and LaGrange, and then Gower, who are out in front of us, and then some 24s, 25s, and then Western Springs is at 26. Third grade, and you can kind of see where we fall with our peers. Fourth grade, again, where we fall. Fifth grade, we go second there. Sixth grade. Seventh grade. Just look at that, 31 in there. Oof. That's a big one. And eighth grade. Did I skip one?
No.
Did I do seventh grade? I did seventh grade.
You did, yeah, you said, well, look at that.
Oh yeah, wow, look at that 31. Thanks, Gary. Any questions on these bar graphs on where we fall?
It's kind of interesting, it just reminded me, I'm sure there's no correlation, but like the test scores, you know?
Oh, when you look at that
Looks
chart,
exactly
we're
the
usually at
same.
the top of that.
Top three.
That chart, we're in the top 3 of that chart as well. So options, the board can choose to modify board policy 765. We would have to then adjust our staffing plan and adjust accordingly. We'd have to post new positions. We need to restructure programs to make room for additional homeroom classes.
Jen, can I just ask a question? For the
Yeah.
Western Springs, you said it's like 30. I was just looking at their board policy. It doesn't have an exact number. So where do you see that?
The information I got was directly from the superintendents. I sent them a spreadsheet and asked them to fill it in for me.
Okay.
I didn't go through each board policy
Thank you.
because
Okay, I
it
was
just
just
was a
wondering since
lot.
we're comparing policies.
And because this isn't a required board policy, that's the way I started, right? I started going through all of their board policies, but it's not well defined in board policy, and some have it as part of their CBA, some have it as part of a school handbook. So I just went directly to the source. I went
Okay,
to the
got it.
superintendent. We need to prepare those new classrooms, you know, whether or not we had to install cubbies or something like that in the classroom, or add technology if that was required. Ordering curriculum materials, of course, for the students, for the teachers. All of that piece is a piece that we would need to look into. You know, in all fairness, my goal would be to keep staffing flat, and so if we were to add classroom teachers, we look where can we contract and look at programs or look at teachers that we may necessarily want to let go, because, like, again, we've got to be really mindful of the budget. 75% of our costs are staffing, and I worry with a brand new contract that is a really good, healthy contract for our teachers, but I want to make sure that I don't want to be the superintendent that is like, oh boy, look at that trend line, it's sure going down, and we're going to cross over. So I want to be really careful of that as well. So that's one option. The other option is to maintain board policy 765.
Can we have a
Of course,
conversation about it?
discuss. I'll
Yeah,
put-
so here's my sticking point, is that, oh, so sorry, would you like to?
No,
oh,
go.
No, okay. We're doing a lot of first
Ben
grades
Frank.
today, that's so interesting. Wait, was that Dion? Oh, just kidding. Oh my gosh,
DJ.
that's embarrassing. Okay, anywho, so here's my thing, is that, did you do any research, not comparables, but did you do, like, because I think we talked about wanting, these are very, like, arbitrary numbers, and we want, like, hard evidence to support them.
I mean, it changes every year.
Okay, so.
I mean, you're talking about some schools that have 4 or 5 elementary schools, right? And so I don't think it's as simple as that. I mean, the easiest comparable is their guideline that they use, right? And it's gonna be like us. Some years it's gonna be over, some years it's gonna be under the guideline. But nobody said that they had a hard and fast rule. When we hit 24, we break. No one said that.
Sorry, I don't think I'm asking the right question.
Yeah, that's
I'm
right.
asking the question, in your purview, did you find, like, is there a golden standard, or is there a research supported number for, like, you know, because I found
Yeah.
it, so I'm curious if.
I
we
mean,
conducted the
I've
same
always used
research,
the, I think there's a lot of factors that go into what that right number is, right? And I know it's easy to say it's 18, or it's 20, or it's 24. I like to say that there isn't, when it comes to class size, there's an inverted U, right? And so there's a number that's too low. You know, having a class of 12, having a class of 7, that's not great for kids either, because you don't have that collaboration. You don't get kids able to bounce ideas off of each other when you have 12 kids in a class. Having a class of 35 at the other end is not great either. You want to be somewhere kind of in the middle of that U. I think the other piece that this also depends on, I've seen amazing teaching and lessons with 30 kids in the class when you have an amazing teacher in that classroom, right? I've seen a teacher with 20 kids really struggle when that teacher isn't as adept at working with kids, right? And so I think part of it, I don't think it's as simple as saying 25 is our number, or 20 is our number, or 22 is our number.
Let me interrupt you there for a second,
Yeah.
because the slides and the supporting conversation is primarily based around referencing the board guidelines.
Mhm.
But if we're saying that we don't know in 2015 what standards were used to come up with these numbers, then these are effectively random numbers. I'm not saying that the numbers are wrong. No one's saying, let's hire another teacher because we want to break the budget.
Right.
But I think there's a more substantive conversation to be had around, like, if this is the policy and we're referring to the board policy and it may be perfectly applicable, where did those numbers come from? Like, again, I understand what
So
you're saying, 18 or 25.
here's what I would say to that. I don't believe these are numbers pulled out of a hat. If you know the
I
board
don't think so
members that
either.
were here back in 2015, Kim Barker, and some others, they did their research. I can't tell you what research they did, and it would be inappropriate for me to say. So I have to say I don't know. That doesn't mean that research wasn't done.
So that's fine, so, but with our current board, I think, since it's our policy,
Sure.
we can have a conversation
Oh.
around the current
You can
numbers.
direct me to
And
do
if
it.
if we still are feeling as if we still, I mean, that was what, 11 years ago, so times are different.
Sure.
And we've had a lot of conversation around like the academic portion, but we haven't had a lot of conversation around like the social emotional development of the students, the disciplinary issues that come into play with these larger class sizes. You can have the most amazing teacher in the world, but could it be at a detriment to the, so anyway, so there is a lot of like bodies of research to support the smaller class sizes, specific K through 3. Fourth grade wasn't really addressed, it was just K through 3 specifically in the research that I found. So I'm just curious, like, are we still as a board comfortable with the guidelines in play? Do we feel like we want to reevaluate? And then also, I mean, we have to be very mindful of the budget. However, if this is a need for our students, I don't want the budget to be the reason why we don't do it. We are bringing on a new site. You know, for next year, it's like, we're gonna bring that on, but is this a need for our students? Like, I just think it's worth the conversation.
Just to be clear though, we're not bringing on a new site, we're just switching from LADSI to our own site. So the cost is actually less than we spend with LADSI, but.
It just, I
it's-
didn't know that. It
Yeah,
just
yeah,
says
no,
one
no,
on here.
yeah, it reads weird because it has LADSI for this year and then it has one next year.
Right.
I just made that red because it's a change.
Got it.
But we have a psych at the.
But there are other costs, to Mary's point, that we're incurring this year that we haven't
Correct.
in years past. I think maybe we need to make a decision as to what's the priority, so.
That's great. I mean, if you wanna tell me what you want the class sizes to be, I can put that on the agenda for next month.
I personally don't feel like I have the information I would need to make an informed decision tonight on whether we need to change guidelines, what that would look like. I think there's some takeaways here. For me personally, like, I would need to understand, like, we're saying, is this the need of the student? So like, I guess, like, how do we determine that, like, as a board, right? Because I don't think we have that information tonight. Like, do the students need it? Like, and if we're gonna use that as a factor in a decision, I think we need to define, and maybe not in this moment right now, but I think we need to define what supports that as a need. Because if we're looking, you know, I know you're gonna get maybe the COGAT scores and things like that. We've looked at the Ames web, those seem to be on par, it sounds like, you know, based on Dr. Van's presentation, but I think we need to like identify this criteria and to make the informed decision, because I don't think we have it all right now.
And I don't only speak to myself, but I think that there's two parts to this, at least for me personally, as like a parent of a third grader. It's our lived experience versus a spreadsheet, right? And so I want to direct board policy to the best benefit of all students in the district, not just the third grade class.
Sure.
And yet, we're living this experience that feels
Yeah,
as if.
it's tough. When you're sitting at that table, your
So-
parent hat comes off, your board hat goes on.
No,
right?
and I understand that, but like, it's not just.
I mean, it's also the information that we're receiving from other parents within the district.
Right.
And it's also information, for example, when I speak to parents from other districts who tell me that they have 20 in their class of the same the same grade as our third grade, right? And we have 26, and we have a quarter additional of what they have in their class, right? So I think that's also like part of the equation. We can't just live in a vacuum of like a board. Like, we're living in a full and complete picture of what's our experience, what's the experience we're hearing from other parents, what's the experience of the nearby community members that we're seeing. And I feel like, to Taryn's point, we want to get that full picture. Like, for example, if you look at Western Springs' board guideline for this, it's policy 6025. It has this really great paragraph that says decision-making regarding class size may take into consideration the needs of the students, the dynamics of the class, students with special needs, the type of the class, regular special needs, the physical aspects of the room, educational goals, staff recommendations, considerations deemed relevant by the administration. So I would love to have something more all-inclusive in our policy that like takes all of those things into consideration rather than like it's 24, it's 26. Like, I feel like that's very rudimentary.
Well, and maybe that's the
helpful.
solution. And what I will tell you is, just in speaking with the staff at Western Springs, they absolutely have higher class sizes than we do. So all of that is taken into consideration, and they still have the highest class sizes in the township. Probably in Lansing, to be honest. Well, Disney's But, yeah,
Well, I'd
I
love
mean,
to
if
see
there.
those numbers too, you know, what do those numbers actually look like,
Yeah.
if it's possible,
I mean,
right, if it's
here-
not.
here's what I
right.
can tell you, that your per pupil allocation is a direct result of your staffing. Western Springs has the lowest per pupil allocation probably in all of Cook County, because they have the lowest number of staff for the number of students that they have. I mean, their per pupil allocation is like, and again, I'm gonna say like $12,000, theirs is 20, right? And so, again, that is community further evidence that they have kind of those higher class sizes. But again,
Yeah.
what they do is great for them, and what we decide will be great for us, right? And if the solution is to add language like you had just read to our policy, the board
I
should
just think
consider that.
sometimes that could just make it vague and you kind of make it the way you
Yeah,
want
it just sounds like a.
Because that would be like, okay, so, well, this third grade is different than last third grade, which is different than the next third grade. So then, you know, that's where you kind of have to make it not, well, I feel that we need to have 20 in this one, and I feel that we have to have 25 in this one. I think that's, it gets really vague, and I think, well, I don't know, I kind of like just like the number, because it's just, it's a base point, you know, and then work from there.
It takes the subjectivity out of it and like
Correct.
year over
It's like,
year,
okay, this is the
right?
jumping point. So we have 100 kids, then our guideline's 24. Do we, you know, divide that by 5 and have a smaller class? But then, do we have the classrooms to do it? Do we have the teacher to do it? Can we take it from other class? You know, it's just it creates a lot more than just the simple, oh well, you know, sorry, you know, this is just not going to work. You know, it's not feasible. Would we like it for everyone? Yes. I mean, Butler to have 20 kids in a class, you know, that I see great value in that. We just don't have footprint to do
$30,000
it.
per student.
What's that?
Butler, $30,000 per
Well,
student, the
that's
highest.
ridiculous. But I just think we like with the footprint we have, like right now, we're kind of forced to have class size limits and not just, you know, best intentions for the kids. I mean, we do have best intentions for the kids,
And
but
what's the impact? Like, we went over the board guidelines and nothing happened. Or we're
Well,
under
that's-
the board guidelines and this happened. I mean, that, to me, again, I remember talking about this when I first came on the board. And we have these guidelines and go over them, nothing happens or happened back then. So to me, they're kind of like arbitrary numbers, but at the same time, then if you follow them and you break the class and you bring on extra staff, it's expensive. You know, so like, what are these numbers? I don't know what they're based on, really. I mean.
It's a fine balance, right? Like you want to do what's best for the students, but we also have to be cognizant of the budget. So to bring like a teacher on, and I mean, any transitional year, the 20 to the 24, the 24, you know what I mean? Like when you're jumping, like it has to make sense, right? Like you don't want to bring someone on for 1 year to have to rift them the following year because you don't have that trend coming down the pipeline.
We did that we did that for several years where we used enrollment-based staffing, right? And so we were pretty rigid around moving people around, and in all fairness, we let people go because the numbers weren't there, and we moved people from one grade level to the next, and quite honestly, people left, right? They're like, look, I taught first grade, now I'm teaching third grade, now I'm down to kindergarten. Like, it just bounces people around, and just because they have the certification to do it doesn't necessarily mean you should. And so we adjusted. We said we're gonna do our best to keep people where they're at, unless they come to us and say, like we had a fourth grade teacher who taught fourth grade forever. She's like, I think I want to try something different. Can I try third grade? When something like that opened up, we made that move for her. So that enrollment-based staffing was really tough on the staff because constantly learning a new curriculum, constantly understanding the developmental level of a new grade level.
Yeah, I mean,
But
we're
it did
constantly
have-
improving our curriculum, so it's like they get used to one curriculum in a grade and then you're moving them to another, and now it's like.
It's hard on the teachers, right? They're constantly moving grade levels.
Yeah.
And we want them to develop expertise at the grade level.
I mean, I don't, quite know what next steps are. I just know personally, I don't feel comfortable making a decision one way or the other tonight. I think there's, you know, obviously there's concerns among the board, but I think there's some other factors that we need to look at and think about. And again, I come back to that, like, the need of the students, and have we proved that the students need that, like, and I don't know what that criteria is again, like, I mean, test scores obviously is a huge component, but you bring up social emotional, and so, like, I don't know, to me, it sounds like there maybe is further digging we
So
need to
next month, we can
understand.
provide an overview next month of our social emotional screener that we do at the elementary school and middle school, and give you some feedback on that. It sounds like we're focused really on the elementary school.
Correct.
Right?
I
And
mean,
so-
I don't wanna speak for the board, but I feel like, right, are we pretty much just focused on?
Again, I don't wanna do the work
Lower
if
grades.
it's not, if the
Yeah.
middle school, we feel comfortable with where we're at it at the middle school. I don't wanna pull a bunch of data, do a bunch of analysis, like, this stuff does not happen quickly. And so, and then I have to enlist the help of the rest of the staff.
And there's a
So,
lot of different differentiation when you get to the
100%, because we've got different we have different levels and things like that. 100%, you're right.
So I agree with Carolyn, that we don't have the information to make a decision tonight, but I guess my question would be is what information do we need to make that?
Right.
So
that's
we have our
what
social
I'm
emotional
saying.
screeners
So
at
we can-
SP Elementary School.
Right, can we see if there's any, like, specific to the third grade, since it is the largest cohort, like qualitative, like, discipline data? Like, is there a spike in discipline data because there are so many kids? Because that would go along with, like, the social.
Sure, we can share that. So we can look at discipline data, we can look at our social emotional screener.
What? Oh.
Social emotional screener, right?
Yep.
And then we can look at assessment outcomes.
Yes,
Yeah.
then
I mean,
thirdly, oh, sorry.
No, and I was gonna say, I think
Fourth.
like, yeah, I think also, I think there's time that we're gonna need to digest this, right? Like, I mean, we're bringing up stuff of, and I don't know if there's anything that to be added to that evaluation or to be
Right.
taken out of that evaluation, you know,
So-
vice versa, but like,
Oh,
like
to
we're
the
drinking a
analysis
little
that we
bit from
do
the
of-
fire hose right now and like throwing random things out there, but I think. probably-
So
I didn't
why
see a lot
don't we
of
do
these
this?
slides. Yeah.
Let's start with the discipline data, the social emotional data, and some academic data. And let me get with our staff and see if there are other measures that would be helpful for you guys.
Like we talked
And
about
be-
before, like the COGAT year over year, like third grade last year versus third grade this year, or in like first grade last year versus first grade this
Well,
year.
and to
So
the
she
extent
has it
that I
already.
can,
Yeah,
hold on. And to the extent that I can get you that information, so you can do some analysis. I mean, we'll present it at the board meeting. Don't get me wrong,
Right,
but that
packet.
you have some time to digest it, analyze it, ask questions, say this doesn't make sense to me. You know, again, not you can't figure it out, but you know what I mean. Like, help me understand this piece prior to that, and then we'll obviously present it at the board meeting. So.
Would anyone
This is
see-
only for elementary school?
Yes. Do you-
Because why, I mean, I have these, I don't know, behaviors or whatever happening in elementary school, they just don't vanish though.
Right, no, they happen
To
in
the
middle
middle
school.
school. I mean,
Right.
they don't. So I mean, I don't know why.
You would exclude that from the
Yeah,
analysis,
exactly.
yeah. Right.
But then again,
Yeah, I
Dave's
mean,
talking about this.
Right.
Like, but I don't know what I'm asking for
I
either.
think holistically, to your point, if we're going to talk about adjusting board guidelines, like, if the conversation's being had, like, do we don't necessarily have like a reason to exclude them, other than we're not hearing maybe complaints, but I'm not saying, I don't know.
I just
don't know
need
what
you to
the
direct
answer
me.
is.
Yes,
I
and
just
then
need you to direct
additionally,
me.
and I think Charles and I were kind of getting at this, but we still are feeling like these are pretty arbitrary numbers. So, I mean, I have things I can forward you, but also I would like to see if you can find independently, like, research to support class sizes for these grade levels, because
Sure.
that would be much more,
I will.
you know.
I'll start from the
Thank
beginning
you.
and check with Ms. Barker and see where she pulled those.
Yeah,
numbers.
I would be very curious if this, you know, if there's
Do you-
research or studies to
Do you have
support
a
it.
slide that has each grade and what the total amounts are?
Oh,
There you go.
Just out of curiosity.
No, I think Dr. Band, right, Dr. Pelzat, you guys have spent a career in working with other experts, right? So I think one of the things we really need from you too is your very candid perspective on this,
Okay.
right? Like, I don't think you should hold anything back with your personal views.
I don't know about that, but okay. Sometimes. Okay, that, we can add that.
Thank you. I appreciate it, because this is something, again, we've been talking about since forever, so I'm really happy we get the opportunity to like talk,
Yeah, and I can't say
dive
like,
into it.
I have a problem with the guideline, or I'm in favor of the guideline. I mean, it's just, their numbers, the test scores are good, the behavior is what it is, and
It
you
comes
know,
down to, is
I don't
there-
know what else to say
For me, it comes
about
down to like, is there a need from the students? Like, does the data support a need for like, I mean, that's like at least a factor that would come in for me, like.
Yeah, what?
We'll pull the
does
data.
So,
We'll look at
again,
it.
data speaks volumes,
Bill,
obviously.
did you have a question about this slide?
No, I just
Oh.
wanted to reference, because, yes, the third grade's a lot, but there were some other years that kind of had higher totals that were over the limits, and it'd almost be interesting to see, like, when fifth grade was in third, you know, because those are, I mean, yes, they're more or less students, but just to see, you know, they were over the guidelines technically during that time. How did that perform? Not just this third grade, but previous ones. Just a thought. That was my thought process. I don't need anything.
I would like to know that. That's a good point, yeah.
Because that kind of goes to your year-over-year comment as well, but now it's just larger classrooms.
Or do you just look at the fact that where do these kids stand when they come out of 8th grade?
Well,
You know what I mean? Like, in some respect, I mean, when they come out and they do those like feedback surveys when they get to high school, and it's kind of like those, like, there's an official term for them, but like, you know what I mean, we're not seeing.
When we do our like freshman preparedness survey, I mean, we're seeing.
I'm not saying that, I'm not asking you to pull that data, I'm
Yeah.
just saying like, I
Well,
don't think
they're
we've
gonna
ever
take
seen
it
like
next month,
negative,
so.
right? I mean.
Yeah, but it also depends on like what the makeup of that class, right? So for example, 7th grade was like 98 when it was in 4th grade, right? And now it's down to 89. 3rd grade has gone from like 96 to 101 over the course of a few years.
I just wanna make
you
sure
know?
we're not sending out a wild goose chase for information that like,
I just need you to be super specific, because I thought I hit the mark on this. You know what I mean?
No,
And
this-
so,
yeah.
based on the feedback that you gave me last time, I thought, you said, I want class sizes, I wanna see comparable to our comparison districts, their class sizes, so that we
But
can.
did we get class sizes of the comparable districts? I thought you just gave what their guidelines were, or what.
Yeah, the guideline comparables is what I.
Right. Yeah. But I guess there's like the guidelines and then there's the actuals,
Yeah,
right?
I mean, now we have to break it
Because we don't
down
go by
by
our guidelines
school,
always,
and
we
there
go
are.
2+, right?
Right, I mean, I think the hard part with that analysis is, we're talking about probably about 30 elementary schools that we would have to, because, you know, like,
We don't need it from all of them, you know what I mean? Maybe the comparable in terms of performance. So like Western Springs is very comparable in performance. Highlands, very comparable in
I
performance, you know what I mean?
actually have that. We just showed that in the community.
Okay,
Yeah,
great, then.
we're third.
Good, we won't be sending you to look too far. That would be helpful for me. Like, I don't know how everyone else
I think
feels.
you actually have it in your
You
email,
need
'cause
that
you've got,
specific
you
in
have it.
just Highlands and Western Springs.
Yeah, they're very comparable in nature, I think, and.
No, actually, we're higher than Western Springs.
No,
There's
I'm just
Butler-
saying, if you just narrowed it
Oh.
down to those comparables.
Like size, location, performance, like those are very comparable, I think,
I think it would
districts.
be unreasonable to say, hey, can you
Yeah,
go
but I
out and
think-
collect these 30?
I mean, I don't wanna play devil's advocate, but I think you're looking at that as a district level and not a grade level, and then, I mean, again, right or no? You know what I mean? It's like, okay, if we're third in comparison to them, I know what you're saying. Like, I mean, I feel like on some aspects, we're asking for such granular data, but then we're talking about like such like high level over here, but like, what does that high level prove to us? Like,
I mean,
I don't
At
know.
the
I
end of the
don't know what
day,
the
my
answer-
prediction
I don't know
is,
what the
I'm gonna
answer to
provide you with all
information
this data, and we're gonna have a
Yeah.
conversation, what do you wanna do? And
Right.
I don't necessarily know if it's gonna provide you with the insight that you need. I think if you know what you want, just say what you want.
I mean, is it
You know what I
something
mean?
that we
Like,
can
I
take
feel like
away and
there's
think about
maybe
and
some
have kind of-
recommendations that you have, just like Jason said, be candid, just say it.
Yeah.
I wanna make
I
an
want
informed
20 across
decision.
the
I don't
board.
wanna just say based on what my experience is as as a parent in 3rd grade. You know what I mean? I don't wanna make a decision like that. I wanna make a decision based on the data that I have and comparable data with
Well-
other districts. I wanna be fully transparent about that.
We'll pull
I
it
don't
for
feel
you.
like I have that at this point. Just trying to be, That's my candid response.
But, yeah, but I'd say we can narrow down those schools, right?
Yes, agree,
Correct?
agree.
Sounds good. Any other questions?
Clear as mud.
So I guess we don't really need to do the next agenda item because it's our preliminary staffing, and if we're gonna change guidelines, then that's gonna change staffing, right? And so the only drawback is it puts us, if we end up having to hire new teachers, it puts us a month behind everyone else who's hiring. Generally, hiring season is March. So, I mean, we can bring the grid up and look at it, but
I mean, you know the minimum you'd have to hire for right now, right?
Is this would
right,
be,
because
this,
like the guidelines aren't gonna increase, or if anything, it seems like there would be the push to make the class sizes smaller, so I guess like.
There's only one that's above board with guidelines at this point, right?
Say
So
again, I'm sorry.
there's only one class that is above board guidelines at this point, correct?
well, it depends on, correct.
Current board
Um,
guidelines.
I think
They're above current board
Yes.
guidelines. For next year, that number goes to from 24 to 25.
from third to fourth grade, right?
Because
So
when they're
then
in fourth
there's
grade,
guidelines.
so
So that's gonna be
guidelines
26.
goes-
Yeah.
So you'd have 25, 25, 25, 26, and only one class would be above those guidelines for next year. So if we're using this year's guidelines, then you're right, this.
Just itself,
Yeah.
across itself kind of, but again, the 20 to 24 to 25 to 26, while well intentioned, I'm sure, 11 years ago.
So just to kind of go through this, the only real kind of increase is in EL at the elementary school. Again, we continue to see that population grow, and therefore we're looking at a 3.5 in FTE at EL at the elementary school, and then maintaining 0.5 at the middle. So pretty flat. Again, I do the 3 or 4 for kindergarten because we never know what we're gonna get. Again, those registrations come in.
Does that go all the way till the end of the high school, basically?
Till through,
Yeah.
I mean, we get kids registered even after school starts. So it's really, really, I mean, that's kind of how we ended up with 5 sections this year, that we had on our actual list of people who had filled out the intent to register, we had like 90 kids on there. So I'm like, oh my God. Or no, I think it was like 90 kids. We're like, we got a break. And then they didn't all show up. So it's hard to know. And then there have been years where we've had 70 on there and all of a sudden we get 15 that show up. So you don't want to be trying to hire a kindergarten teacher a week before school starts. So we made a decision.
Yeah.
The only other change, and Mary kind of pointed it out, was that we're moving from a LADSI site to our own site, provided we can actually find someone to hire. There just aren't a lot of site candidates out there. So if we can, we prefer to hire our own. It actually ends up being a little bit cheaper.
Reduction of cost, you said, right?
There's a reduction in cost, and it's our person, right? Like, we get to train them, we get that they're part of our staff.
Yeah.
With LADSI, when we contract, is it are they a full-time employee?
Yeah.
Oh.
We pay for
A full LADSI site, full-time? I just didn't know if it was like hourly, like as we need them, and then now we're gonna up it to like a full-time position?
I don't think you can do hourly, you can do part-time, but we've always needed a full-time site. We've needed full-time sites. So we did this at the middle school last year.
Mhm.
We got a great site at the middle school, and we're hoping that lightning will strike twice and we'll get another one.
So to Terrence's point, I think this is at a minimum what we need, so we don't need to delay hiring or.
I think the hard part though is next month is when we would approve it. So I guess if it changes, we can do a standalone roll call vote for it rather than, because we would put it like, we would just put this in consent for next month.
Yeah.
We can do a standalone roll call vote.
Okay, right?
Or I guess we could pull
Or
it
it
from.
doesn't have to be
You'd
in
pull it
the-
from consent and say.
Yeah, it'd just be an item.
As amended or whatever.
Yeah, I think let's just make it an item instead of a consent.
Great. Alright, and then I think the last thing is your board policy, which is in your packet, redlined. I think it's just reviews, to be honest with you this time. There was no real changes, so. And 1 and 3 are easy.
So,
That's it.
all right,
That's all I have.
item 10, items for the next agenda include community engagement update, superintendent advisory team facilities, professional learning update, approved Pleasantdale Park District before and after school program intergovernmental agreement, and reemployment of non-tenured personnel and non-renewal of non-tenured teachers. Any feedback on the agenda?
And we'll also add class size.
Oh, thank you. Next, we will go into open forum. I don't think we have any green sheets, so we'll move on. And then,
Just a sleepy end.
closed session. So can I get a motion to move into closed session for the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees, specific individuals who serve as independent contractors in an educational setting, or specific volunteers of the public body or legal counsel for the public body, including hearing testimony on a complaint lodged against an employee, a specific individual who serves as an independent contractor in an educational setting, or a volunteer of the public body, or against legal counsel for the public body to determine its validity. Also, security procedures, school building safety and security, and the use of personnel and equipment to respond to an actual, a threatened, or a reasonably potential danger to the safety of employees, students, staff, the public, or the public property. And then finally, there's 2 more. Litigation, when an action against, affecting, or on behalf of the particular public body has been filed and is pending before a court or administrative tribunal, or when the public body finds that an action is probable or imminent, in which case the basis for the finding shall be recorded and entered into the minutes of the closed meeting, and then student disciplinary cases. So, motion.
So moved.
Second.
Sorry.
Oh, did you read the security procedure?
She did.
I did,
Okay,
yeah.
sorry, she did.
That was a new one, you didn't even.
I'm sorry.
Mr. Bracco?
Yes.
Mrs. Lenzen?
Yes.
Mr. Nash?
Yes.
Mrs. Walters?
Yes.
Mr. Zona?
Yes.
Mr. Mason?
Yes.
Mrs. Marchion?
Yes. Okay. And
We're closed.
Great.